Hello, and welcome back to IDSL 870, Marketing and Community Engagement. Today, we're going to discuss Week 3, Marketing and Community Engagement in a Digital World. Marketing and Community Engagement in a Digital World really is focusing on the important role that the digital world and social media are playing now in marketing and community engagement activities for community colleges. One of the things I want to stress at the beginning as we begin to discuss this whole new world of marketing and community engagement is that this is a rather new area. When you think about traditional marketing tools, those traditional marketing individuals in community colleges and in higher education had decades to perfect the tools that they used. Advertising, public relations, billboard use, newspaper use, television use. Those mediums have been around for some time, and thus marketers really did have the benefit of time to develop new and innovative ways to utilize those tools. What we're seeing today is with the rise and the fast increase in the usage of digital tools in this digital world, we don't have the time as marketers any longer to react the way we did with the old tools. We don't have the time to think through and develop and ponder how to use these tools most efficiently. So much of what we're studying today is what we know as of today. And this world certainly is primed to change dramatically over the course of the next decade. So with that in mind, let's begin talking about marketing and community engagement in a digital world. This whole idea of a digital landscape. I want to talk about the 7-second rule. And as you read through today's readings, I'm going to highlight some of the key elements from those readings, but one that really sticks is the 7-second rule. The 7-second rule and other trends that we'll discuss are going to have a tremendous impact or profound impact on how we connect with potential students and our communities in the future. The 7-second rule is essentially this. You have 7 seconds in the digital world to make a connection with your intended audience. 7 seconds. Think of it like a first impression. The old adage that you only have a few seconds to make a good first impression. It's the same way in the digital landscape. Why is this important for us? It's important for us because individuals have options. It's very easy in today's world if you open up a community college's website, and if you don't like it, that immediately forms an impression for that medium and really could set the stage for an impression for that community college. There are also some trends that are going to be impacting us, and these are some of the big trends of 2016. The reality is, for the last several years, we have seen usage of mobile devices far exceeding the use of the old tethered desktop devices. This also will have a profound impact on how we market our community colleges. Think about the various devices and what it means to have a website that's easily adaptable to the various mobile mediums. Absolutely critical, because you don't want a frustrating mobile experience for your students. We do know as well that app usage is going to continue to increase. And app usage will also be a main driver of our brand content. Think of things like electronic campus maps. Your students going onto campus and using their phone to navigate campus. College of DuPage in Glen Ellen, Illinois capitalized on this several years ago. They now have a tool for their students to navigate in real time their campus environment via their phone. Think about other ways for using apps that might not be directly tied to our campus community, but may have an influence on us. All the rage as of today's recording is Pokemon Go. Now, we may be far enough along where Pokemon Go is no longer an issue or an item with today's millennials. But as of today, Pokemon Go is all the rage. Colleges now are finding ways to use Pokemon Go to get students onto campus, especially at peak times. Registration times, book pickup times, using digital tools to find a way to get students to campus. We're also seeing the personalization of the user experience. I can tell you when I went to college, there was absolutely no personalization of the user experience. The most personalization came in when I hand wrote my name on the top of my registration card and went from room to room and building to building registering for my classes. Today, users expect a great deal of personalization. Consider the Amazon model. How can we implement an Amazon-type model in higher education? What can we do as community colleges to connect with our students or potential students using a personalized experience? Today, there are companies that will personalize your viewbooks and course catalogs for students. A student will log onto your website based on either prior browsing history or in basic information that student would enter as they enter your site. You can specifically personalize your course offerings or what the student sees based on their desires. We also know that it's important to optimize what we're offering for students. Think about your own website or your own digital tools for your community college. Are they easy to navigate? Can they locate content quickly? The old rule of thumb was 3 clicks or more and you've lost the user. Today it's probably even less than that. It might be 1 click or at most 2 clicks. How do we develop user-driven content? In other words, how do we drive out the fluff and focus on the meat of what we're trying to share with those students, potential students, or the community? And we know that video mediums are going to continue to increase as well. Those video mediums are vital to what we do. And I'll talk a little bit more about those, but consider what the millennials use today or Generation Next. The use of YouTube, the use of Tumblr, Snapchat, Vine. Those video tools create instantaneous connections with our communities, our students, and our potential students. And as we talk later about how we manage our message and manage the reputation of the institution, they can work in our favor as community colleges, but they can also work very much against us. And finally, virtual reality is going to further enhance our visual content. Think about the way we deliver education today. In the classroom, we've even moved away from hard training to soft training. And I'm not talking soft skills here. What I'm talking about is how we deliver education. For instance, back in the day, students would start learning how to weld on a welding machine. They would burn through metal. They would burn through metal en masse, and that's expensive. Today's virtual welders allow students to practice and fine-tune their techniques on a virtual machine before they ever touch the expensive materials that go into a welding process. Not only does it save the institution money, but it's much more environmentally friendly, and it connects with a student in the area where they're at, especially those digital students or the millennial students. I want to talk as well about how we connect with the new world. As I mentioned a minute ago, connecting with the new world is important to make sure that those efforts are personal for the student. For the majority of students or potential students or prospective students, their first experience with a community college is no longer a physical experience. It's digital. Back in my day, when you visited a college campus, that was your first experience to connect with that college. Today, if you don't make it past the student's litmus test on the digital experience, you'll never get them on campus for that personal experience. So think about it. More community colleges are going to create homepages with content that will bring their campuses to life. Make it feel like a destination. Tell a story. Connect your visitors with the human experience and the culture of your community college. Use these tools to promote consistent branding both online and offline. And absolutely make sure that your online branding connects with your offline branding. Think about using social media tools to develop and build relevant digital communities. And as you develop those communities, and we'll talk more about this in a minute, don't build those communities for you as a college, rather build them for the students or your potential students and find a way to integrate your brand into that community. You might find a community at your college that is all about automotive buffs. Can you develop a digital online community or connect with a digital online community within your area that's individuals who are car buffs, and find a way to integrate your brand and promote those programs that might relate to those who have an affinity for automotive technology. The other key is to make sure that you go mobile. The reality is, and as you've uncovered in some of your readings, more than half of internet users today use the internet through their mobile device. And I would hazard a guess that by the end of this decade, we'll see that nearly every single internet user will be using a mobile device. The days of tethered devices, of desktop computers, are essentially gone. We know that over 43% of college-age students report using mobile devices for all of their web browsing. That's it. That means they will never touch a fixed tethered device. It's all mobile. I can relate some stories to my own family where my kids use their mobile devices to access the learning portal at the college. They use their mobile phones. Now, they may someday need bifocals, but the reality is they found a way to adapt. 68% of students or prospective students look at college websites on mobile devices. And 2/3 of students would be willing to receive text messages from their prospective college. The days of email as well are for folks like me, old people. It's gone. Prospective students today want an online experience that is fast, it's error-free, it's easy to read, it's easy to navigate or to skim. That is what's going to impact their perspective on your college, and quite frankly, determine whether they want to take the next step, either in their digital journey in investigating your college or in coming for the old-fashioned site visit to your institution. Don't lose sight of how important that mobile presence is. The other key is to make sure that you are visual. Promote campus life, promote activities, promote experiences. Think about your sporting events, your campus events. Use visual images to promote what the culture is on your community. Provide students with an insight as to what it would be like to be part of your campus community. Showcase your model students, showcase the groups, the faculty, those individuals who are going to make an impact on their educational experience at your community college. Use 3D tools to showcase your campus. Any of you bought a house recently? Well, I can tell you, my daughter and her husband just bought a house. And the first part of our experience looking at homes were the 3D and virtual tours. If the homes didn't pass the 3D or virtual tour test from my daughter and her husband, they didn't make it to the actual visiting the home. How can we use that same type of methodology on our community college campuses to give our students a real life perspective of what it would be like to be a student there? I want to talk a minute about this idea of cultural branding. As you'll learn in reading the Branding in the Age of Social Media article, social media and branded content, which is all the rage and has been all the rage, is simply not the panacea of marketing. They are tools that help us as community colleges create relevance among our audience. And truly, as you'll learn in that article, they have not been as effective as we have originally planned. A good social media platform, quite honestly, is an expectation. It's no longer a differentiator. I use the analogy of much like quality in cars. If you remember the days back in the 1980s when Lee Iacocca was on television promoting Chrysler and the quality of Chrysler vehicles, they had airbags, a revolution for the day. Well, today I would guess you wouldn't buy a vehicle that didn't have at least one set of airbags, if not side impact airbags and front impact airbags. You wouldn't buy that vehicle. That's much the same with social media platform. Social media platform is simply an expectation. It's not a differentiator. It's ubiquitous among community colleges. The influences of crowd cultures and social media is driving a new wave of cultural branding. And what we'll find is what works for one company may not work for another. As you read the article, consider what crowd culture ideologies can best be influenced and addressed by your community college. What's going to help make your community college stand out? What's happening out there in the crowd world, in the cultural world, that you can connect your institution with to make a difference and to bring relevance to those students or prospective students of your institution? In the idea of community engagement in the digital world is possible. As you'll read in Community Relations 2.0, it discusses the impact social media is having on our institution's abilities to reach out to our community. Where at one time, colleges had access to the perceptions in the community college and were able to develop plans for addressing those concerns. We had the time to sit back and understand how our students and how our communities felt about our institution. Have any of you implemented the CESI, the Community College Survey of Student Engagement at your institution? Or maybe you've looked at the student satisfaction inventory or another tool. It used to be that we would use tools such as that to understand the culture of our institution among our students. We no longer have the luxury of a 3 or 4 month rollout process of a survey to understand what the perceptions are of our students, and then taking the time to develop and act on what we learn. The sheer speed of social media has made colleges much more reactionary, and we're often ill-prepared to respond to what we call social media coups. Think about your own institution. Have you had a student or a group of students begin to speak negatively about your institution, or maybe it's an instructor or a particular course? That happens almost instantaneously and can snowball extremely quickly. Today, it's essential for us as community colleges to consider hiring a social media or digital media expert to address the challenges that we face with this new digital landscape and to manage the college's online reputation. Not only do they help manage our online reputation, but they can help develop platforms for digitally connecting with our community in a positive way and develop means for us to address those issues in the digital world that might come up. And finally, let's talk a little bit about reputation management in this digital world. As you'll read in Reputation Warfare, the article discusses the power that social media has given really what they call small-scale antagonists or disgruntled students, and it shares strategies for managing those attacks. So how do we manage against these digitally based attacks? Well, they present a number of ways to manage against this. One is to avoid showing a disproportionate show of force. Well, what do we mean by that? What we're essentially saying is, don't put all of your resources to battle, or don't use all of your resources to battle a small-scale antagonist. If we show too much force, it's an indication that perhaps the antagonist is right and we're being overly defensive. They also highlight don't letting bureaucracy getting in the way. Oftentimes in higher education, we have very regimented communication channels. We have very regimented approval processes in order to make a response. The unfortunate reality is in this digital world, we have to respond at a high rate of speed. Give your staff the flexibility to respond within guidelines to those antagonists or those individuals who might be posting negative content about our community college online. Empower your team to help tell the college's side of the story. Give them the tools and the authority to make decisions. If you have a team that's well-trained and well-versed in dealing with the digital world, trust them. You know, the idea of going rogue. New media can be your friend. Consider responding in the same venue that the students might be providing the negative content. As you read the article, you'll understand this a little bit better when you think about the Domino's Pizza example, where Domino's had a group of employees record their own video and share on YouTube the employees doing some rather unfavorable things in the preparation of the pizza. Within a short period of time, the president of Domino's responded using the same YouTube social media to share the quality control factors and features that Domino's had implemented to ensure that things like that did not happen. Also look for sympathetic third parties to serve as what we call the force multipliers. If someone is speaking negatively about your institution, find those students who have a very positive perspective of your institution and ask them to respond in a positive way about their experiences with your community college. That can do wonders. Think about as you purchase products online and you look at all of the ratings. For every negative rating, there might be dozens of positive ratings. Those positive ratings can have a force multiplier in ensuring a positive perspective among your students and potential students. And finally, stockpile credentials now for use in the battles ahead. In other words, keep at the ready a list of all the good things you are doing as a college. Because when that one troubling spot does hit your institution, it will be nice to reframe the issue with all the positive things that you're doing at your institution. With that, that concludes today's lectures. I hope you've gleaned a little bit of information, not only from today's discussion, but also from the readings. Again, I'll leave you with the thought that this is a very, very new world. There are some rights and there are some wrongs, and this world will continue to evolve, and the tools and strategies we use will continue to evolve. I encourage you to do your own research about how to connect with your community and how to market your institution using the new digital landscape. That's all for today. Farewell for now.